Well, good Monday morning to you, and thanks for joining us right now on KARE 11 News Now. I'm Alicia Lewis. Breaking news, Chris Medell is ending his bid for Minnesota governor, partially over Operation Metro Surge. In a 10-minute video posted to Twitter, Medell says he supports ICE and immigration enforcement, but that what is happening in our state is just going too far. He says he's spoken to countless American citizens who have been stopped by ICE just for the color of their skin. He also says it's nearly impossible for a Republican to win a statewide race in Minnesota. You can watch Medell's entire announcement right now at KARE11.com.
You are all under arrest. Sit down on the ground.
Well, tensions remain high in the Twin Cities overnight. Several arrests made in downtown Minneapolis following a protest outside of a hotel people believe ICE agents were staying at. And this is new video from overnight from an anti-ICE protest outside of the Home to Suites near the U of M. Police calling in State Patrol and the DNR to break up the crowd and make arrests after they started spray painting windows and damaging property there. This comes after a second deadly shooting involving a federal agent over the weekend. And we're following several developments this morning, including two big ICE-related court cases in the Twin Cities today. And border czar Tom Homan is on his way to Minnesota to help manage U.S. immigration and custom enforcement operations on the ground here. It all follows a chaotic weekend on the streets after Border Patrol agents shot and killed Alex Preddy. And we've also learned within the past 12 hours, a growing number of Republicans in Congress are calling for a deeper investigation into the shooting, including House Homeland Security Chairman Andrew Garbarino, now calling for ICE and Border Patrol leaders to testify before lawmakers. And we have team coverage on all of this for you this morning, but let's start things off with Audrey Russo and the coming legal battles for ICE.
Yeah, we're tracking two lawsuits filed by Minnesota state officials against the feds. Now, there's a hearing at 9 a.m. in federal court and one at 2 p.m. The first seeks to stop ICE operations in Minnesota, and the second attempts to stop Homeland Security from destroying evidence in Saturday's deadly shooting. Now, these legal maneuvers come after local officials spent the weekend on the national stage criticizing ICE's tactics.
It looks unprofessional. It looks very chaotic. It doesn't look like there's clear teamwork tactically to achieve the same objective. The greater issue, the greater concern is, people should be able to have an expectation that the federal government can enforce federal immigration law without these, poor tactics and really unconstitutional practices.
Now, the federal government is responding to these challenges. Federal Attorney General Pam Bondi actually sent a letter to Minnesota state leadership, including the governor, asking for access to Minnesota's voter rolls. She also asked the state to share its Medicaid and SNAP benefits data. Minnesota Secretary of State Steve Simon responded saying, quote, "The answer to Attorney General Bondi's request is no." Back to you.
And this morning, we're learning more about Alex Preddy. We know the 37-year-old graduated from the University of Minnesota and was an ICU nurse at the VA. One of his recent patients tells us she's been a mess ever since learning of his death.
He took 20 minutes with me and sat with me and even said a prayer with me. He held my hand and he told me things were going to get better.
We're also hearing from Preddy's parents who say they are heartbroken but also very angry. They say, quote, "The sickening lies told about our son by the administration are reprehensible and disgusting." Now, the deadly shooting is igniting intense reaction here in Minneapolis and beyond, adding to the already existing tension and anger over Renee Good's shooting nearly 3 weeks ago. So many messages shared on social media, and the impact is being felt even on the basketball court. The Timberwolves returned to play last night after their game against the Golden State Warriors was postponed amid protests and unrest over the weekend. But inside Target Center, the mood made clear this was not just another game. Players and coaches described a night overshadowed by grief and uncertainty. The Timberwolves held a moment of silence for Preddy before the national anthem, the second such tribute this month following the death of Renee Good in a separate incident involving federal officers. The Wolves turned in one of their lowest scoring performances in more than 4 years, while Warriors players said it was difficult to separate basketball from what was happening outside the arena. After the final buzzer, players from both teams reflected on what it meant to compete in a city still in mourning.
Nobody deserves to lose their life. And, especially for it to happen in our community, is tough. So, prayers for that situation and everybody involved and everybody in Minneapolis. Obviously, it's tough times right now.
the protests that were going on downtown. It was amazing to watch the turnout and peaceful protests and, the unified voice that was here. There's a lot of change that needs to happen, and when you're here and you feel it.
Now this morning, major companies are taking a stand against the violence we're seeing in the Twin Cities, releasing joint statements pleading with state and federal leaders to work together. Executives at companies including Target, 3M, General Mills, and Cargill say in part, quote, "We're calling for an immediate de-escalation of tensions and for state, local, and federal officials to work together to find real solutions." They went on to say they've had conversations behind the scenes with federal and local leaders urging them to move towards peace. We are live from our nation's capital, where this morning Congress is up against the clock to avoid a government shutdown by Friday at midnight. But there's a new twist. Senate Democrats say they're not going to vote for a current funding bill following the deadly shooting of Alex Preddy. Democrats say they can't support any funding bill that includes money for Homeland Security.
I am absolutely committed to holding the line, and I encourage my Senate colleagues to stand the line, hold it, and force Republicans to do what they know is right. An out-of-control ICE is attacking and terrorizing the people of Minnesota, and they're coming to you if we don't stop them here.
The way that this agency has been functioning is completely against every tenet of law enforcement. So before us right now, we have a bill about funding them, giving them more money. I'm not voting for that, and I didn't vote for tripling their budget over this summer.
The funding package, which the House already passed, could come up for a vote as soon as tomorrow. The legislation needs at least 60 votes to pass the Senate. And stay with KARE 11 for the latest surrounding ICE operations here in the Twin Cities. When we learn anything new, we of course will bring it to you live on KARE11.com and right here on KARE 11 Plus. You're waking up to another frigid day across our state. Wind chills today expected to bring the temperature down some 30 below zero, but we do have a chance to finally warm up slightly this afternoon and maybe even see some snow. So we're going to get a check with our weather team in just a little bit. Another big story we're tracking this morning, millions of people from coast to coast dealing with deadly winter weather. Right now we know at least 7 people have died due to the weather, including 3 in Tennessee, 2 people in Louisiana, 1 in Texas, and 1 in Kansas. The storm included freezing rain in states across the South, leading to more than 860,000 customers without power this morning. One of the impacted areas is Nashville. Officials there saying the outage is going to last days.
There's still cold weather and precipitation, so we do suspect that throughout today and tonight, we could potentially still fight those outage restorations with outages that will start to come in after we may restore some stuff.
The storm is also impacting air travel. More than 12,000 flights across the country were canceled yesterday, and over 3,000 are canceled today, many for trips that are out east. And we just checked MSP Airport's website. So far, there's about 50 canceled flights. So check your flight status if you have anywhere to be. And developing right now, the FAA is investigating a plane crash at Maine's International Airport. This is new video of the crash. We know 8 people were on board this private jet that's registered to a Houston-based law firm. We know that the plane crashed during takeoff and that during the crash, visibility was about 3/4 of a mile and light snow was falling. What caused the crash, though, has not yet been determined. No word on any injuries. In this morning's Communities That Care, we're highlighting a business giving back to the community during continued ICE operations. Heidi Wigdahl takes us to Lito's Burritos.
As ICE operations continue in Minneapolis, the signs are there. Lito's on Lake is open, but keeps its doors locked.
Hold on, these guys pulled up into our parking.
Owner Miguel Hernandez keeps an eye out.
Okay, they're cool. They're just pulling in a little hot. That's the kind of thing we look out for.
It's a lot to navigate while being new to the neighborhood.
2 months and 2 days, yeah. We've been counting the days because it's been pretty tough.
Lito's Burritos started 2 years ago as a pop-up at Miguel's parents' restaurant, still recovering from COVID.
I started to learn that way through pressure of, we have to survive the pandemic, and now 5 years later, we're looking at having to survive this, ICE on the streets every day. When I have staff calling out saying my family was taken or someone was taken in my neighborhood, and I just need to get through it this day and I can't come in, I listen and I support them. And so does that affect operations? Yeah, every day. But it's a little grain of salt compared to what people are going through. This isn't normal, and we shouldn't normalize just working through.
But Miguel is getting through this.
How's it going?
By helping his community.
Good. What can I get you, boss?
Sales from their horchata
We have big batches of it.
go towards mutual aid work.
We absolutely need to see our businesses have the type of moral clarity that Lito's Burritos does.
I don't think any business should be like just thinking of themselves right now, because I don't think you can run a restaurant without immigrants. I don't think you can run any business without immigrants.
For as long as ICE is here, the doors will be locked, but open to the community.
What's up? When you're ready, should be about 10 minutes. Appreciate the support. Yeah.
Stick with us. More news and weather coming up after the short break.